making a bumblebee themed floral arrangement using a tin I found from Hobby Lobby. I took a styrofoam square and I cut it to fit with the angles on the bottom. And then I hot glue it. Make sure I glue it to the bottom and the sides so that it stays put. And push it down in there. There it goes. Then I take the spray that has the black and yellow balls and I push that in there. I want to make sure I push that toward the back because the balls come out toward the front and I don't want those to stick out further than the planter. Then I have some Floral Buds that I got from the at-home store. They come in a bundle of 3, so I used my snips to separate those out. I don't want to place them in there using, one stem. I want to be able to move those around individually so I can spread them out. And you'll notice here I'm using my glue gun. I want to add a dab of glue to make sure that the ball spray doesn't come out. Some people use a glue pot. I didn't have time for that in this one. I decided just to use the glue gun and I applied the glue directly to the stems. So there's the first set of yellow buds that I'm putting toward the back. I want these to be at or a little bit taller than the height of those balls. And putting them in there toward the back and adding some glue. I don't push them all the way down in the styrofoam because I want them to remain closer up toward the top, but still enough in there where they're not going to move. And then this spray I put toward more the middle. I don't want to have too many flat layers. I want to be able to bring some of those buds forward so the arrangement looks like it blends well. And I push those in there. All right. Sometimes it takes a little movement just to make sure things are placed where you want them to. Jiggle it around, see where things naturally want to fall. And then sometimes you can use the wires and the stems to bend things. And I had these green eucalyptus picks. I got these off of Amazon and I was actually surprised by the quality. They're pretty nice. They don't really bend that well. They're pretty stiff, but for an arrangement where they're going to be laying toward the back of this arrangement, these were fine. I wanted to make sure I had some greenery in there because if this is hanging on a wall, it's most likely going to be a light colored wall and I didn't want all that light color to come through and then diminish the power of the yellow. So I put that on the back. And again, I just glued the bottom of the stems. I used 4 of these picks. And I did snip off some of the ends. The ends of these are kind of sharp. I had put in the glue there. And I wanted to have it come out to the sides, but I didn't want it to look too straight up and down. So these kind of went in as an angle, and then I bent them a little bit. And I was pretty happy with how they ended up showing. And snipping off some more. And I do apologize for the very bad camera angle on this video. You'll see later I actually cut off some of what I'm doing. Not very good. Francis Ford Coppola will not be calling, asking me to help direct his next film. All right, and that's the last greenery bush. Then you can see the styrofoam sticking out a little bit, but once we get some of the other florals in there, that won't even be shown anymore. And I tried to add another greenery bush, but decided it wasn't needed. So now I'm adding the tulips. These were a bunch of tulips I got from Michael's. These are the Ashland brand. I got them when they had their Easter sale. I think the bunch was $1.99. It was a very good deal. These actually stayed on there very well. Sometimes the blooms can pop off some of the stems pretty easily, but these actually stayed on very nicely. I was impressed. And I'm trying to place these, kind of weaving them throughout the balls there. I didn't want to manipulate the balls too much. They were going to lay where they were going to lay. They kind of had a mind of their own. So I wanted to put the florals in there to fill in the spacing gaps. And you'll notice as I put in the tulips, I intentionally left a gap at the bottom left side because this is where I was planning to put a bow. So I didn't want to waste any of that real estate putting florals in there since I knew something was going to be in there and I didn't want to have those covered up. And on these tulips, I played with the heights on these. The ones toward the front, I pushed them in further. But the ones that were toward the back, I didn't push in as far. I wanted to give those a little bit more height. So it kind of blends gradually downward. You'll see these ones that go in next. I kept those a bit taller. These were nice stems to work with too because they were pretty sharp and they went into the styrofoam pretty easily. You know, when you push it in there and you hear that satisfying snap, crackle, and pop sound. I like that. There's something soothing. It's some kind of ASMR thing, I guess. I also had to watch for some of the glue strings. When I'm using the hot glue, you all know how it kind of sometimes leaves like little booger strings that you gotta go in and grab those out of there later. That drives me nuts in every floral arrangement I do. I hate the glue strings. Inevitably, no matter how much I can look constantly and I don't notice it until I go to set it out at a show. And then I'm suddenly panicking and pulling off the rest of the little glue strings. Sometimes people use a blow dryer to blow dry them off, but I'm too lazy for that. Here we go, the last set. Hey, do you know this floral arrangement has a mouth? Yeah, because it's got tulips. Tulips. Hey, dad jokes are not just for dads. We don't discriminate here. And then I used the last set of tulips there out toward the bottom. I wanted to bring some of that color down, bring the florals down, make sure that they weren't bunched up too much toward the top. So this was the perfect spot for those on the bottom. That's why I like to dry fit a lot of my florals before I actually use the glue. Sometimes you think it's going to work in a certain spot, and then you put it there and realize it either looks too densely packed or ends up, you need to use that stem elsewhere to fill in something else. You see me playing around with it, making sure that the movement is right, and it's got room to breathe. It should look and feel natural. Things aren't that closely packed together in nature, and they shouldn't be in an arrangement either. And here I have sped up very quickly. I made a bow using Bumblebee ribbon. It's 1.5 inch. It's wired ribbon. And the way to get those perfect bows that have like that rounded shape is to make sure that every loop is the same size in your ribbon. I think this was 3-inch loops I used. Then I used a chenille stem, cut it off, and then used my pick machine to add a pick to it. I love this machine. If you do a lot of floral arrangements, it really is worth the investment. Even though that machine is heavy as heck, man. Then I fluffed out my bow. Again, horrible camera angles. My apologies. But I fluffed it out. And you'll also see the end of that bow there, the tail, I curled it upward. Instead of dovetailing it, I wanted it to curl outward. So it also adds some cascading effect. All right, I think that looks good there. Again, pull out some of that stuff. And now I'm going to take the hot glue and apply that to the metal stem. Be careful, those are sharp. And I push that into the styrofoam. And I made sure that I put those loops behind the bee antenna. And then I kind of played around with the placement and the shape, making sure it kept its rounded shape and it fit in there nicely. Everything looked like it fell into a place naturally. Okay, and this is what the arrangement looks like in the back. You'll see that there's a hanger. So this can go on a wall or it can stand by itself on a table. And you'll see the finished product right there. The cute little bow, the greenery toward the back. It's not too densely packed, just right. Thank you so much for watching today. I appreciate it. If you could give me a follow, that would be fantastic. Thanks so much. Happy crafting.